At this time in my career, I've really been attracted, and it's been coming on for a few years in terms of wanting to work in the ballet genre, specifically on point. But even with the point work, I still am more attracted to ballet because, to be honest, I'm a little disheartened with what I'm seeing in the dance world these days in terms of kind of contemporary taking over the world a little bit. And what I find that I don't like as much about contemporary work, and so much of it that has come up lately, is that it deconstructs. In my mind, it deconstructs dance. It makes it as quirky and awkward as possible. And maybe you can call me old-fashioned, but I'm still very much about bringing beauty into the world. And I've always wanted to do that. I've always done that with all my choreography that I did for River North Dance Chicago. And that's part of one of the biggest things. I'm not too excited about what I'm seeing out in the dance world, and kind of wondering where it's going. And that aesthetic of ballet, the lines, the lyricism, and that ethereal quality of what the point shoes do for the female dancers is always been intriguing for me. Like, the most simple bourrée across the floor is a gorgeous thing to me, and I just find myself more and more attracted to that than what I see kind of happening in the dance world right now.
How is creating on point different than slippers or character shoes?
So creating on point, I've only had, I've had 3 rehearsals, and I have to say I was a little, worried about it, in my own mild way. Having seen so much ballet and a lot of point work, I knew it would work. However, it is different in that I have to allow time. First of all, I think it takes more time than being on flat shoes. Character shoes are also a different thing, but being in ballet slippers versus point shoes, I think, is very different. And I have found that in a good way, it has slowed me down, because on point work, things seem to take a little bit more time. The ladies have to get up to point. Once they're on point, it's a lot of balance and different things like that. And so I can't move with the speed that I normally do in the partnering. However, sorry, I lost track.
Sorry.
Let me start again. I wanted to make this point. Let me see.
Take your time.
Yeah. What was I saying? I had the one point that I wanted to make about point shoes, and ask me the question again. It'll remind me.
It was, how is creating on point different than slippers or character shoes?
Right. What I wanted to say about creating on point is I was worried about it, but I think I was a little more worried than I needed to be, because honestly, at the moment, with what I'm doing thus far, I haven't found it that different or that difficult in terms of a transition. Now, in my first attempt at working on point, I am not trying to reinvent point work. I wanted to kind of get my feet wet, experience what it is to work on point, and still doing what I love to do and what is my go-to toolbox, which is pas de deux and romance. I feel like I can create pas de deux till the end of the earth, and I'll never run out of things to do. And so thus far, it's worked really well, and the dancers have been spectacular. First of all, the quality of the dancers I was really, really impressed by. And then when I got in the studio, the very first day, I purposely did not want to work on point. I wanted them to experience me on flat, and just ballet slippers. And then the second day, we developed a lot on the first day. A whole long phrase of the dancers dancing by themselves and then some partnering work. And then the second day, I put it on point, and it translated beautifully.
Great. How does choreography to original music differ from choreography to an existing work?
Choreographing to an original composition versus choreographing to an already recorded piece of work. I don't think choreographing to the music is necessarily, there's much of a difference. However, what the big difference for me is when I'm able to be a part of the process of creating the composition. So I'm really working very, very closely with Josephine Lee, who is the composer for this piece. We've worked. This is the third time we will have worked together, and this time she's done one piano piece for me. Prior to that, we used several children from the choir that were on stage during a whole piece of mine, and then this time we wanted to add a cello. So what I love the most is getting to go over to Josephine's house and sit in her studio and just have her start playing on the piano, and we just, we kind of just toss things back and forth. I like that, I don't like that, I could use this longer, and it gets me that much more involved, and I think in that way I become much more attached to the piece of music, because I feel in some way I helped create it a little bit. That's not to take away from the phenomenal phenom that Josephine Lee is. I give her a little something, and the next thing I know, in one day, she's got a 10-minute composition ready for me, and she hears it in her head, and she plays it, and it's right there. So I think it's going to be a very long-lasting relationship.
Beautiful. You may have already answered this question.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway, and then you can just say, I think I've already answered it. Yeah. How do you and Josephine develop the music that will work for your vision?
Yeah. When Josephine and I get together, a lot of times she may ask me if I have a couple little snippets of something that I like, that even if it's 8 bars of something, of a little piano, just for a mood, just so she gets an idea of where my head is at and what I'm wanting to hear. So I may send her some samples of a couple things, and then from there, that's how we start. And then she gets an idea in her head, and she's like, come on over, and then I go over and we get to sit. Sometimes it's magic. Well, actually, it's always been magic thus far. So we just have this thing that I think we pull out of each other, and we both get so turned on when we're in the moment and we're creating. I'm like, yes, that's beautiful. Oh my God. And so we plow forward, and before you know it, we've got an entire composition ready to go.
Okay, beautiful. That's it.
You guys are great.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. You've been